Self-compassion is not selfish. Think about it for a second and repeat after me. Self-compassion is not selfish. If you were raised with the strict belief in selflessness and self-sacrifice, like me, then the idea that self-compassion is not selfish might sound radical to you. But after 40 years of being a doctor, 30 of which I have served on the front lines fighting cancer as an oncologist, 32 years of marriage, and 31 of motherhood, I am convinced that our relationship priorities and expectations are outdated and not sustainable. While in the trenches, I discovered a perspective that changed everything for me. I call it the 75-25 rule of relationship engagement. I remember telling my husband in our early years of marriage that I could live with 25% less love, but not with 25% less space in our relationship. Similarly, I told my sons to love me 75% and keep 25% for themselves. I will do the same. If this sounds startling, then you have been led to believe in the myth of 100% mentality. Today, I'm here to show you how this 100% mentality robs you of joy and is literally killing you, threatening your mental and physical health. Though I couldn't recognize it in the moments, but while giving 100%, I would often find myself physically drained and emotionally depleted. Picture this. After a grueling 36-hour on-call shift, I'm physically exhausted. My mind buzzes with the weight of 1,000 decisions, and my soul heavy from caring for suffering patients. Now, after such a long day, if a matter needs attention or a patient crashes, there is no hesitation. I stay back to offer more. Get this. No one questions this. It's expected, even admired. It is the noble sacrifice of the selfless healer. But here's the twist. Now imagine the same 36-hour on-call shift. Same physical exhaustion, same desperate need for recovery. But this time, instead of an emergency requiring my attention, I choose to give the time I would have spent on the emergency to myself, to breathe, to recharge, before taking on my family duties. Suddenly, questions emerge. Am I taking too long? My family needs me. Should I be home instead? These whispers of guilt and doubt haunt me simply because I dared to heal myself, the healer. Do you see the irony? Altruism, when applied to others, makes you selfless, but when applied to yourself, makes you selfish. The fundamental flaw of this 100% mentality is that it traps you in a vicious cycle of pouring yourself out till there's nothing left to pour, without giving you committed, dedicated time to renew, restore, and rejuvenate your reserves. I find 75-25 rule of relationship engagement to be deeply, deeply rooted in abundance and not scarcity. Look at it this way. If there are 4 quarters in a dollar, this rule simply asks that you give 3 quarters to others and keep 1 quarter for yourself. You see, this is abundance. Then how do you implement this rule in your life, and how do you make others see its value? Don't just fight for your right. negotiate for it. And negotiations start with the self. And to negotiate effectively, you must be intentional and you must know what you want. Let me tell you what I negotiated for my 25%. After a long day at work, instead of taking the train from the nearest subway station, I'd walk 2 miles. And on the way, I'd pick up a coffee and a bagel. And I'd sleep on the train ride home. Total cost, 40 minutes and $5. Arriving refreshed, priceless. Similarly, if I had $20 budgeted for self-care, I'd spend it on full-service laundry and not on hair and nails. That left me with 2 hours of discretionary time each week. Time I spent studying, exercising, and volunteering. Abundance. I'm going to ask you a question. If you had to negotiate for your 25% right now, do you know what that would be? No matter what you choose to negotiate for, make sure it serves you well. Repeat after me. Self-compassion is not selfish. The consequences of 100% mentality are devastating. Did you know 300 to 400 physicians die by suicide each year in the United States? This staggering statistics makes our profession one of the highest risks for suicide. Research published in National Institute of Health and British Medical Journal shows that empathy in medical students plummets in the third year of their training, the year they start their clinical rotations. Though empathy levels rebound, but it never reaches the initial levels. And the needle hasn't moved much, despite enhanced awareness on burnout and modified work hours. We as physicians are practically trained out of our capacity for self-compassion. Altruism, when combined with empathy gap, which is the inability to correctly identify the power of emotions while responding to situations, creates this perfect storm. All my patients inspired me, but I'll never forget one selfless soul. She sacrificed all her life for others and for her work. One day, while being on stage 4 treatment for stage 4 breast cancer, she asked me, "Doc, should I buy a Honda or a Hummer?" I understood her question. Her question wasn't about cars, but rather about how much time she has left. Could she finally claim the 25% she has denied all her life by giving 100% to others? I told her to buy the Hummer. She understood. Tragically, it took facing mortality for her to realize the importance of prioritizing herself. And unfortunately, everyone hearing this may make the same mistake. This isn't just a problem for doctors. Mothers' selfless love, teachers' unwavering commitment, and healthcare providers' empathy. These are all some of the examples where altruists pay a steep price for the benefit of others. In my decades-long experience as an oncologist, the dying wish not to have done more work or to have spent more time with others, but rather to have spent more time deeply understanding themselves. I envision a future where self-compassion will define the practice of medicine by fostering genuine, compassionate patient care through intentional self-care. I envision a future where we are all aware of our abundance daily, in each moment, and in every aspect of every relationship. You know we can make this happen by implementing the 75-25 rule of relationship engagement. We can keep ours and allow others to keep their 25%, to embrace self-awareness, to explore self-mastery, and to practice self-compassion, and generously give 75% to others. Self-compassion is intentional. It requires imagination, permission, negotiations, and it is transformational. I'm going to ask you again. If you had to negotiate for your 25% right now, do you know what that would be? Let's set this intention together by repeating after me. Self-compassion is not selfish. Thank you.